All right, it's 3 o'clock. Chad here. The Mariners suffered another brutal loss last night, 3-1 to the Angels at T-Mobile Park. After the game, their manager, Scott Service, shared his thoughts.
It all depends where we want to be 60 days or 60 games from now. We want to be playing playoff baseball. We want to be driving home. 60 games. Talk about being a marathon. It's getting to be close to a sprint. Not quite there yet. We're getting close. So 60 games. Got to show up and compete. Go ready to take it every night.
Seattle remains tied with Houston in the West. They host the Angels tonight. That first pitch at 6:40, Logan Gilbert gets the call. Justin Myers is going to be live from Big Ten Media Days Thursday from Indianapolis. Be sure to listen to Rip City Morning starting at 6. He'll join the show today at 4:20. After requesting a trade, the 49ers say they intend to keep wide receiver Brandon Ayuk on the team. Camps are open across the league. Elsewhere, Aaron Rodgers arrived at Jets camp wearing a T-shirt with an Egyptian cat. And the Jags have signed cornerback Tyson Campbell to a 4-year, $76.5 million extension. Rip City Drive with Dwight and Chad is coming up next. 4-packet tickets for the Hops. We'll give those away at 4. Chris Jansen tickets at 5. It's always hard to talk over Led Zeppelin. I just feel strange about doing it because it's so nice.
I advise you not to do that. Just let it play out.
What I love about Led Zeppelin is that they have a sound and a style that's unique all to themselves.
Sure do. There's never been anybody like them. Yeah. Greta Van Fleet right now is trying to be that, and they're as close as I've heard come to it.
All right, Godfather, we have more goodies for today. We have a 4-pack of tickets for the Hops. We'll give those away at 4. And then Chris Jansen tickets, who's going to be at the Clark County Fairgrounds August 4th. It includes fair admission. We're going to give those away at 5 o'clock. And then Justin Myers, I swung by his crib last night to drop off some equipment over in Southeast Portland. He's going to join us at 4:20. We'll get his take on Big Ten Media Days. He's going to be there on Thursday at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. And we'll get his take on what he's looking for from Big Ten Media Days, the giant duck that's floating around right now, Oregon doing what they do best, and really his take on the conference. It's a brand new college football world with the expanded playoff, and I also want to know who he thinks the preseason top 5 is going into the season for college football. I talked to Joe DeLeon last week. He thinks the top 2 teams are Georgia and Ohio State, so we'll get Justin's take on that. He'll join us at 4:20, and we can discuss the visit that I had at his crib. Nice neighborhood, very nice house. He's got a lovely wife and a beautiful backyard, and the whole setup he's got with the canopy, the furniture, the television, and he's got the heating lamps or flames that you see at some restaurants.
Yeah.
It's a great setup, man. He's dialed in. So I know even you could hang out there because during the wintertime, if it's cooler, you get into the fall and towards wintertime, late in football season, even the Godfather could be chilling out there because he's got the entire setup. It's dope.
And he did that himself, right? I think he's kind of a little bit of a carpenter.
He is. His wife made sure to point that out, and that only made me question myself even more because I'm like, great, Justin Myers can build things, he can fix things, he can do things. But what I found out is that he's one of those dudes that can look at a YouTube video and be like, I can do that.
People are doing that now. I can't imagine.
I can't do that. Have you ever watched a YouTube video and successfully executed whatever they told you to execute?
Yeah. It had to do with a some gadget at home that I couldn't figure out. And what they give you for instructions now is often a YouTube video. It's just like scan this thing and then it pops up. But yeah, I've been able to do it a couple of times with very minor projects. Don't ask me to pour cement or start using lumber and build something though. I want no part of that. It's way out of my league.
When I moved down to the Bay Area, I bought a whole bunch of furniture and stuff at IKEA.
Yeah, good luck.
Thank God my dad was there to help assist in putting that stuff together. What a train wreck. I've mentioned this before. I am a disaster when it comes to putting things together. So when I see what other men have done with their hands, like what Justin did in the backyard, I admire it because I'm like, that's not me. That's not my skill set. No one's asking me to help them build anything. No one wants that. But what a great backyard setup. I've never thought about doing that in the backyard, but if you got the right setup with the TV and the screen, you got the room out there, the dog can hang out in the backyard with you. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I think you'd need the heat lamps, though, because we just don't have enough nice evenings to make all that worthwhile. Mm-hmm. But the heat lamps change things. I would also like to have, just for these warmer summer nights, those spritzers, those things you see in Arizona.
Yeah, where they kind of put the mist out.
Oh, those misters. Yeah, they are nice.
I'm not sure how well those misters work when it's like 120 outside because I want someone to douse me with a bunch of water and the misters just kind of, they don't work as well. But in the evening time, perfect. Yeah. Genius. We don't need that here. The sky produces enough mist on its own.
Yeah, I know.
All right, let's recap the last couple of days for Aaron Rodgers. Yesterday on Pardon My Take, he basically blamed the media and helped us understand the difference between a mini camp and OTAs. It's just semantics, Godfather.
Sure.
When I was in the NFC North and playing for that team years ago, there used to be a real thing called mini camp where it was you had one of them usually. Sometimes it was right after the draft, but either way, it was 5 practices in 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So 2 practices on Friday, 2 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday. Now it's not mini camp. They can arbitrarily put a tag on whatever week of OTAs they want to say this is the mini camp week, which makes it somehow more mandatory than the other weeks. But it was an OTA schedule. That's how it's, how words can be a little deceiving from time to time. You can make a story out of the fact that I missed a mini camp when it was really 2 OTA days.
Right. Interesting.
That came to the first 10.
So this is a media thing.
There you go. That's Aaron Rodgers.
The world according to Aaron.
Yes. And today arrived at Jets camp, and he was feeling pretty good about himself, sporting a T-shirt with an Egyptian cat. And he had that Aaron Rodgers smug look on his face. And like I mentioned before, I find humor in what he's doing because I know he's having fun with all of this. With his explanation there on Pardon My Take, the Egyptian cat on his shirt, he likes to troll, and he likes the attention from that, and he likes to get under people's skin. So I see what he's doing, but the cat and the T-shirt, it was pretty funny.
Also, at the start of that clip that you played, I hope you didn't miss that part. When I was in the NFC North playing for that team,
yes,
he would not say the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah.
Playing for that team.
So not only does he like to troll, but he's petty.
Yes. There's still bitterness there, no question.
Yeah, and I respect that. I like it. I like it when people...
You're a big guy for holding grudges, right?
Yes, and what I hate is when people pretend like that situation in the past, like it's all good and we're all happy now.
Yeah.
But no, that's usually not the case. So I like the fact that he won't name the team and he's still holding the grudge there because I still have grudges that I hold in the back of my mind from things that happened years ago.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not even reasonable at all, but I still do it because it still has an impact on me. I'm like, I remember that and I'm not going to forget that. And obviously Aaron Rodgers is not pleased with the way things ended there in Green Bay with the Packers. Mm-hmm. And now he's with the Jets and he's wearing an Egyptian cat. I want to see you rock a T-shirt like that, Godfather. I saw you wearing one the other day with a big alligator on it. Why not come in with an Egyptian cat?
Yeah, I just haven't seen those, Chad. I would certainly buy one if I saw it. But
the other thing about camps being open, this is the worst time of the year for me as a football fan because I'm afraid to look at the news every day to see which players, key players, have gone down with serious injury. In fact, I pulled out X on my phone, and I'm like, why is Ricky Pearsall trending? Wide receiver from Arizona State, drafted by the 49ers. He transferred, I believe, to Florida before he was taken in the NFL. I know who he is, and he's a fine wide receiver. And why was he trending? Hamstring injury at camp.
Yeah.
I don't like that kind of stuff, man, because teams can have their seasons altered based on the guy's who go down in camp. And if you get a rash of injuries in one particular position group, it can create all sorts of problems. A couple years ago, the Broncos had 2 receivers go down. I don't like this time of year, man. Getting through camp healthy is critical for success because, usually at the end of the year, the teams that are challenging for playoff position, the teams that are hoping to get deep into the playoffs and possibly make a Super Bowl run, there's a correlation between those teams and overall health of your roster.
No question.
Gosh. It's brutal
it's a
out there.
big part of it, really.
Yeah. And camp is the first time where they get in and start having more activity. A lot of injuries happen on non-contact drills, but of course, over the next month plus, there's going to be more contact as they start to ramp things up for the regular season. It's a great time of year, both in college and the NFL, but camps are dangerous, man. And coaches are gripping about that kind of stuff all the time. You don't want to see guys go down.
Well, that's why if you're a veteran, it's not a bad time to hold out. You know?
Yeah, if a veteran doesn't want to compete. In fact, Gary Zimmerman, former great Duck, Hall of Famer, played for the Broncos. He didn't like camp and would usually take off to, where is it, South Dakota, where he'd jump on his bike and ride with all the Harleys. He would disappear.
Oh, yeah.
What's the name of that place? Sturgis.
He went to Sturgis, huh?
Yeah. And John Elway would have to go and track him down and make sure he wasn't going to retire, and he would be back before the season got underway, and he would. But good. Get away. You don't need to be out there in the field. You know how to block guys.
Yeah, and has for many years. Good enough to be a Hall of Fame player. And, just tell him to sit quietly on the sidelines during camp. Don't get hurt.
You sent over a piece today from Front Office Sports, and this is an update on the TNT situation where we got the report yesterday that they intend to match the bid that was put in by Amazon so they can still be a part of the NBA's coverage. But according to Front Office Sports, the company Warner Brothers Discovery, they have some financial issues right now, Godfather, and there's a couple of big questions that they laid out. And it says, despite WBD's move, questions persist about whether the league is fully able to absorb the required costs. Already saddled with $39 billion in debt and sagging stock, WBD saw its shares on Monday fall another 1.4%, bringing its decline for the year to 27%, and leaving its market capitalization at about $21 billion. Such a figure is a mere fraction of Amazon's $1.91 trillion, Disney's $173.5 billion, and Comcast, which is NBC, $155.3 billion. So I have to wonder here if the NBA, because this is going to court, the NBA they don't want to give up Amazon because Amazon's got a $200 million reach, while Max, which would be the streaming platform for TNT, they've only got a reach of about $100 million, so half of that. They're going to want Amazon to be involved, and I wonder if they can argue that they've got their own financial issues. We don't want to be partnered up with someone that could potentially go bankrupt.
Yeah, and the other side of it is, okay, a match means you're matching everything that they had in their offer. Well, if you only have half the number of people you can reach, in my mind, that's not a match. I don't think you're matching their offer.
No.
You're not bringing the same thing to the table.
No, and as we mentioned before, the streaming is a big deal to the league, and they want to reach as many people, especially the younger demo, that they possibly can. Also, Bill Simmons reporting that Amazon has agreed to pay several years of rights fees up front, a sum that could approach about $6 billion. But they said also that WBD had obtained letters of credit that would similarly enable the company to handle an escalated upfront rights payment. That goes back to that. We were laughing about that line of credit they got from Bank of America. TNT did $21 billion. I'm assuming that's to have the upfront cash to be able to give to the NBA so they can match what Amazon's trying to accomplish.
Yeah, it's, I think, interesting to me that a company that's got already a debt service of $39 billion is going to go out and borrow $21 billion more just to increase the debt they already have. And they make money off the NBA, sure, but, man, try to pay that off with interest.
Now, one thing that's working in TNT's favor in regards to the NBA and Commissioner Adam Silver is that this relationship with the NBA goes back 4 decades. They've been on TNT for a long time. So through those 4 decades, they've developed a lot of trust from the NBA because TNT understands their message, they understand what the league's about, and they know how to convey that message. Plus, they've bolstered their coverage with inside the NBA and having great studio coverage. But as Front Office Sports points out, a lot of the executives that were there when the relationship was created, including former Turner Sports president Harvey Schiller, former Turner president David Levy, former WBD sports president Lenny Daniels, and others have moved on. So the people in key places don't have the same type of relationship with Commissioner Silver in the NBA that those others did. So that should probably have an impact, too, you would think, moving forward.
Yeah, and I'm guessing that great Inside the NBA show that everybody loves means very little to the NBA when it comes to all those millions of dollars.
Yes, they'll never say that publicly.
Of course not.
But they care more about an extra $100 million in reach for the streaming numbers and the upfront billions that Amazon's willing to put in their pockets. And if you're going to compete with someone like Amazon or Netflix, who are just dominant right now, good luck with that, because they got the cash to make things happen.
Yeah.
And some of these other older, media companies aren't as flush with cash. They're not as flexible.
Yeah.
So there you go. I don't know how this is going to play out. My guess would be the NBA is probably going to win this battle.
Yeah. It sure seems like it.
Don't you think?
Yeah, I think so.
Right,
I think, in fact, if they would now take the TNT offer, they'd probably be in court with the other guys. They're gonna be in court either way, I think.
And what was that saying again from Andrew Brandt?
There will be lawyers.
That's rich people talk right there. Okay, we'll come back, and when we do, an 18-game NFL schedule is not far from any of us. It's coming. The question is, what can the players get in return with some time on their side? We'll tell you what that means next on the Rip City Drive with Dwight and Chad. All right, Godfather, a new Break 50 video has dropped from Bryson DeChambeau on his YouTube channel. And this is the series where he picks another person to play golf with, and they play a best ball round of golf, 18 holes. And the whole objective is to break 50, which would be 23 under par, which would seem almost impossible to do. But a couple of occasions he has gotten to 50, but he has yet to break 50. And the latest video is with President Trump. So he plays a round of golf with Trump. They played from the front tees, the red tees at the course they were at, and they got all the way to 22 under par at 50, but they did not break 50. But it was a really good watch. And as you know, I've done a 180 on Bryson. Love the guy now, love his YouTube channel. And I just love seeing him on the golf course in this competition with a wide variety of different characters out there as they play the game. Bryson kind of leads them through the challenge, and then you get a chance to hear Bryson and his guests talk about a variety of different things. It's a great setup, and it's a quick watch. I think today's video was probably about 45 to 50 minutes, but I just love golf so much, and I love watching Bryson maneuver himself through the golf course, and I got to give props to Trump. He can swing it pretty well. He played well, and I think Bryson was impressed with him. And then the cool part about Bryson's game, like we know he can bomb it as far as anyone, but it looked like Trump was more impressed with his ability on the greens, right? His putting and his ability to read the greens. You could tell that he was amazed at the consistency in which a pro operates once he gets to a green, once he looks at a putt, and he starts to break down what needs to happen for the ball to go in. He's uncanny in those type of situations with the way his brain works. Fascinating.
They're playing from the red tees. I bet Bryson DeChambeau didn't take the driver out very often.
He didn't have to. He used a lot of 3-wood on this course from the red tees, but there were a couple of holes that were 300 plus that he used driver on. But obviously, it's a little bit harder to stick a ball on the green when you're launching with driver. There were a couple of holes where he used a 5-iron.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
From an absurd distance, but his talent level is sensational. And my favorite part was Trump, it would appear he has a pretty pimped out golf cart, but he's got his own musical playlist that he has playing in the cart. And so Bryson was flipping through the set list, and he picked some Michael Jackson, chose Beat It, and played that. But I think Trump was a huge Sinatra fan, so he was playing some Sinatra and stuff like that. But if you haven't checked out Bryson's YouTube channel, you got to do it. Break 50 is my favorite of the series that he does. He also does some other challenges like, the Walmart starter set for kids. He goes around the course and sees if he can break 80 or 70 with that. It's pretty ridiculous, but it was fun, man. I'm enjoying Bryson's channel all the time. I don't understand how he did it. I don't understand how he went from douche and unlikable to 180 and very cool. I don't know if he figured that out on his own or if he's got some type of PR team or what the deal is, but, man, he has figured it out.
Wouldn't you guess he hired some sort of PR expert? Would have been money well spent if he did.
Yeah, and now his YouTube channel, I think he's like almost at 1 million subscribers.
So he's got to be making money off that.
I would guess. What a life. What a life. I'm going to play professional golf, make ungodly amounts of cash, and in my free time, I'll just do a YouTube channel, play more golf, and get a chance to meet a bunch of famous people. That is not a bad gig. Also, Daniel in North Phoenix confirmed his friend and their niece were in town recently, and it was like 120 outside.
Yeah.
And Daniel was like, don't worry, they got the misters. And then they discovered that the misters you were talking about, they work, but they don't work as well when it's 120 and sunny outside.
Nothing does. AC doesn't even work well in those conditions.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's talk a little NFL. We know that the season is upon us now with camps being open. Aaron Rodgers is wearing an Egyptian cat shirt. A lot of crazy stuff going on right now. But you and I talked about this hire a couple of weeks ago on the show. The NFL players did something that I think was probably pretty smart. They went outside of football to hire the director of the NFLPA. And this guy they chose was Lloyd Howell, who his specialization was counterintelligence. I mean, just the word counterintelligence, like if you say you're involved in counterintelligence, even if you do nothing, I'm going to assume you're really smart because that word just sounds smart. But I think this Lloyd Howell guy, negotiations is his game. He is really smart, and I think he's going to do a great job of leading the players into better deals because as you and I have talked about, Usually when the NFL owners get to the bargaining table and it's time to negotiate a new CBA and the players are trying to come back with what they want, they're always going to get squashed because the owners are resolute. They are as one, and they've got the power and the money to be able to wait out as long as they possibly can until the players change their mind because they don't have the resources the owners do. So the one thing we know the NFL wants to do, and the owners are on board with, and Roger Goodell's talked about, is they want to move to an 18-game schedule.
Yeah.
And that's going to happen because, well, it's pretty obvious, right? You add 2 more games to the schedule. What does that mean for the NFL?
Much more money.
And then they need a lot more money, don't they?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. The NFL is struggling for cash. They need more money. No, that's not the case. They're super rich and they want more money, and 2 more regular season games is going to add a ton more money to their already rich TV deals.
And they're just replacing exhibition games, right? Isn't that the plan?
You could do that, yes. I don't know what the exact plan would be if you would reduce the preseason games to 0, if you would have a preseason game, if you would keep the same format. What you could do is keep the same preseason schedule now with a couple of games and then have the 18-game schedule and then work in another bye week, which is something the players have talked about. But the bottom line is this is not just going to mean more money for the owners. The reason why the players are open to it is because they know that in the end, 2 more games, more TV money, which means more money in their pockets. That's kind of what it's all about. Now, you looked it up. The current CBA does not expire until March of 2031.
Yeah.
So that's a long time.
Yeah.
But this is a situation where the players now have an advantage because don't you think the owners want to get this done as soon as possible?
This is one of the few times where the players hold the cards.
Yeah.
Because any changes have to come with their consent until the next collective bargaining agreement.
Bingo.
So they can sit, just like the owners used to do when the players wanted a better CBA.
Yep.
Now they can sit back and say, what are you going to give us? What are we giving back? They're in the driver's seat right now.
Exactly. And it's not too often they're in the driver's seat.
Right.
And
hardly ever.
Yes. The owners want something badly. The players know it. But the CBA doesn't expire until 2031, so that gives them an opportunity. Now, Hal, and this is according to the report from ESPN, said the NFLPA would be open to potentially adding an 18th game before the league's current collective bargaining agreement expires after the 2030 season. The CBA mandates that any change to the length of the season would need to be collectively bargained. Quote, and this is from Hal, the director of the NFLPA, the simple fact of the matter is when you have a growing enterprise and there are opportunities within that intervening period of time where progress could be made and you could tweak the existing CBA legal document, why wouldn't you want to do that, Hal said. Quote, so whether it's field surface, whether it's the offseason schedule, if you want to call the formal negotiations, I call it bargaining, I call it amendments, I call it updates to what is now a living document called a CBA. Yeah, I want to be able to have our membership in a position to jump on it when we can, not wait until their playing days are done, and it's likely you go through that cycle all over again. So they're open to it, obviously. Hal confirmed that. The NFL wants it. So now it's just a matter of going through the bargaining process. And he mentioned a couple of things there that they might be looking for.
Yeah, and Chad, it's really smart of him to basically cross the line, meet them at the table, not sit there and say, no, we're not doing it. We're not changing it. But it's like, I understand the opportunity. The opportunity is there for you, also with us.
Yeah.
But we just want to make sure we get part of what you're going to get.
Yeah, and that's a different type of tone and language than what we've seen in past years.
Yeah, much more cooperative, much more, I think that's a much more intelligent, not counterintelligent, but intelligent stance to be taken with the owners.
All right, so there are some items that they could look for if they want to get this negotiation done. You and I talk about this all the time. The NFL players really do get screwed.
Oh, they've been the worst bargainers ever. Their union has not helped them much.
No, their union hasn't helped them. And the problem is they play the most dangerous sport of all the big sports, and they have the fewest amount of guaranteed dollars going out. That doesn't happen in Major League Baseball. That doesn't happen in the NBA, but in the NFL, players don't get guaranteed contracts. In the NBA, if you sign a 5-year, $100 million deal, you get every single dime of that contract, no matter what happens. Injured, you don't play well, you don't live up to the contract, you flat out stink to high heaven, you're going to get your butt paid.
Yeah. It's amazing.
We've seen a lot of, how shall we say, subpar NBA players just making loads of cash. And if you look back, they honestly didn't do diddly squat to earn any part of that money. But it was a deal that was signed. It was fully guaranteed, and boom, you're paid.
That's why they used to not like giving long-term contracts.
Yeah.
Because guys would get that, and it's like, why do I have to work hard anymore?
Yeah.
My future is assured. I've got everything in the bank now.
So one thing that they could possibly look to bargain for and put Hal in charge of this is striving to get a larger percentage of your contract fully guaranteed.
Every single contract, right?
Yes, every contract for every player. I'm not saying you're going to get fully guaranteed, but a larger percentage of the contract itself becomes guaranteed, so you have more real dollars coming in regardless of what happens.
Yeah.
I think that would be a good place to start. Now, this is one thing I've never understood, and it really does tick me off, to be honest with you, but we still have a number of stadiums in the NFL that are not played on natural grass.
Mm-hmm.
They go with the field turf. It's the cheaper option. It's easier to maintain. And especially for a lot of these stadiums, which are multifunctional facilities, right, where you've got concerts, you've got rodeos, you've got all sorts of nonsense going on in there.
High school and college games every week.
Graduations, this and that. So you've got all these different things going on. The field turf works, but this is why it drives you crazy. You got these NFL owners now who are spending hundreds of millions of dollars on their rosters. High-level athletes, some of them who are terrific quarterbacks, right? And yet you have them rolling out every week to play on field turf, which has been proven over time to not be nearly as safe when it comes to preventing injury as natural grass. It makes no sense to me. And I think that's something the players could look at too and say, you know what? Every stadium's got to be natural grass. And I understand there are some, and you've mentioned this before, you've talked about this before, there are certain hurdles because a lot of these stadiums are not run by the team itself.
Right.
They're run by what? The municipality, the city?
The city or the county or whoever has built it for them.
Yeah, and I can understand that. But, I mean, if you're a billionaire owner, these guys know how to get things done. You can make sure that we find a way to get natural surface on there. I mean, wouldn't you rather your football players that you're paying hundreds of $millions to play on natural grass?
Yeah, well, there is some argument about that. I read a big article about it not too long ago where each side has their own scientists and doctors and everybody's saying, no, artificial turf is actually safer.
Yeah.
And then the other side saying, no, of course it's not.
No. But if you talk to any player who's played the game, what surface would you prefer to play on? 100% of the time, they're all going to say, the grass.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's easier on the body. You get those situations where sometimes your foot can get stuck, but the grass will give and the turf doesn't, and that's where some of those nasty injuries can happen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see why they can't find a way to get it done, and I think that's a reasonable expectation, or not an expectation, but a reasonable thing to try and bargain for. If you're a player safety. And you know how they look at it. They don't really believe that the league is – they don't think that the owners put player safety at the top of their concern
they got
list.
good reason to think that, Chad.
No, and that's what bothers me. And you know why a lot of these owners do it the way they do it? Because they're cheap.
Yeah.
They don't want to fund all that insurance and all the money to take care of players after they retire. They don't want to spend the money that it requires to have a natural surface. Like the Broncos with their new Walmart ownership group, Greg Penner has already replaced the Broncos' natural surface twice, and he's been there just over a year. Twice, because he wants to make sure that his players have the best possible surface to play on. Because what happens with the grass a lot of times is the season moves on and you get into bad weather.
Yeah.
It gets choppy. You get your divots in there, some of the sod.
It gets worn out.
It gets worn out quick. And it costs a lot of money to replace,
and maintain.
Yeah.
You got to have people out there making sure that it's watered, irrigated, fertilized, all that stuff.
No question about it. Now, the other thing would be off-season schedule. Lloyd mentioned that, but they've already reduced the amount of practice days and the demands on the players in terms of what they can do and can't do under, official team, activities or functions. I'm not really sure how much more you could adjust that and still be ready for a football season and play at a high level. That's the issue.
I always thought it would be good to eliminate the voluntary workouts.
Yeah.
because voluntary workouts are never voluntary.
Well, we need to get Aaron Rodgers on to tell us the difference between a workout and a voluntary workout, you know, with the semantics. But I think the other reasonable thing in terms of player safety, especially if they're going to go to 18 games, how about 2 bye weeks, fools?
For sure. No reason why you couldn't do that.
2 bye weeks.
Yeah.
And then I like that because you get a chance not once but twice. You get a couple of weeks off during the season. That lends itself to better health. Teams can be more refreshed as they push towards the end of the season. And I think that could result in a better brand or quality of football.
Yeah, it's funny. Dan Patrick, I heard him this morning. He talked about, are we going to see load management if they go to 18 games? Will we see that? Well, it seems kind of doubtful now. But if injuries start piling up over time, you might see some important players sitting out if the schedule and the 1-loss record kind of goes along with it.
Can you imagine NFL fans, if someone tried to load manage, they would go ballistic. I don't think that would ever happen. Load management for certain sports, the culture and the way it's set up, I don't think it would fly.
It would also be interesting, Chad, to find out how many games before you reach that point of diminishing returns. Like, will you get as many people watching if you keep adding games all the time? Or will people finally say, yeah, I don't know. That's too many games. I don't need that many games.
That's a great question. Does the law of diminishing returns apply to NFL football?
Yeah. You have to wonder. I would doubt it, at least right away. People just gobble up whatever you feed them.
Is there anything in life that the law of diminishing returns doesn't apply to?
That's a great question.
Sex?
I don't know. I don't know.
Got to think about that
There's
for a
certain
moment.
foods that,
donuts, hot dogs.
Right.
Yeah. I'm going to chase it. I need a second one, and you have the second one. It's like, crap. Why did I do that?
I need another chocolate bar, please.
All right, we'll keep things rolling here. We got a 4-pack of tickets for the Hops coming up to give away at 4 o'clock. We will do that. And when we come back, Fran Fraschilla with a very interesting take, a scouting take on Team USA. All right, we got our man Chris Burkhardt, who's joining us once again today. Michael Shacker is out. All right, Burkhardt, can you think of anything where the law of diminishing returns doesn't apply? Because I can't really think of anything. Like, I love golf, but, 36 holes in one day is just a little bit too much. You get too tired.
I've seen that. Yeah.
It's not the same.
Yeah. I think anything, you start doing it over and over. It's like, it's not. Yeah, I got to take a break. So it's a little much.
Like your beef jerky that you bring me from your family's meat market, the original steer, it's the best beef jerky I've ever had. But I have to pace myself because if I ate the whole bag in one sitting, it'd be too much. It'd be too much, and I'd feel like there was a rock in my stomach. But if I limit myself to 1 to 2 slices a sitting, it's perfect.
Yeah. Well, when you're working at the meat market and you make it and you eat it all the time, you get to the point too where it's like the smell of it doesn't even smell good sometimes. You're like, I've had too much. This is not good. So you're right. You got to moderate things so you still enjoy them, man.
Hey, Chris, could you imagine though? Could you get tired of football?
Yeah, I could get tired of football.
Could you?
Yeah.
I just don't think 18 games is enough to do that to football fans.
Yeah. But the thing about the NFL, it's not just the games. It's the year-round grind of being a football fan. You got the draft, and you got all the off-season stuff, and the OTAs, and all this stuff goes on.
I know.
The proof to your question, Dwight, and the true answer is no. I probably couldn't get tired of football. But the proof to your answer, why an NFL fan would not get tired after 18 games, it's because when the NFL's not playing on Saturday, they're finding 18 different games to watch on a Saturday because they're watching college football too. Yeah. They're consuming as much football as they can. So you give them another few games per season, they're going to eat it up.
But I think you're right. I think part of what makes football so great is that it's a limited resource.
Right. Yeah.
You have to watch every weekend because it's going to be over quick.
Yeah.
And I agree with the break from football. When the season's over, I'm mentally, emotionally, and physically drained.
Yeah.
I need there's a refractory period there where you have to step away, recuperate, and then you can come back and get ready for the draft and what's coming up next. But I'll tell you the cool thing about adding the 18 games, you know what's going to happen? They're eventually going to push the Super Bowl into President's Day weekend, and then finally they'll just make that Monday. Everyone's going to get the Super Bowl Monday off. That's the way it should be. We shouldn't have to go to work. We'll have to go to work because of what we do, but you shouldn't have to go to work the Sunday after the day after the Super Bowl. That's dumb. So dumb. Everyone's hungover and was up late enjoying their Super Bowl party. I got to get up and go to work. I'd rather sleep in and then be able to talk about the game with my boys.
Yeah.
I'll never forget being in Oklahoma on Super Bowl weekend because the Blazers were playing, and I went out to eat. I think I've told you this, but I went out to eat, and no place in downtown Oklahoma City was open, and there was legit signs on the restaurant windows, Chad, that said, sorry for the inconvenience, but we're closed this weekend so our employees can enjoy the big game. I was like, that's such an Oklahoma thing to do, man, and I loved it.
But that's a clutch move right there.
It is.
That's big-time game. 18 games.
Well, that's one of the reasons, what you were talking about is one of the reasons it's such a great spectator sport.
Yeah.
Even though tickets cost a lot, people still find season tickets somewhat affordable because you don't have to buy that many games. Play 18 games, you're only going to get 9 home games. Compare that to basketball or baseball. That's a lot more games you got to buy.
I agree. I was a Seahawks season ticket holder for years.
Yeah. In those days, it probably wasn't that expensive either, was it?
No, I can't remember the exact number. I think it was like $800 for 2 tickets for the entire season.
Sure.
And I split it with my owner at the business where I worked at, and we just handpicked the games we wanted to go to. It was great. Mm-hmm. I love that. And except for the fact they would make you buy, just like the NBA does, they made you buy the preseason games.
That stinks. That really does.
Scrubs. Yeah. I used to hate that. All right, I want to ask you about this. Team USA, as we know, is going through their exhibition lineup to get ready for Paris. Fran Fraschilla, who is now a commentator, has been around the game forever, very smart guy. I like his commentary, Godfather. I think you do too. He actually has done some deep diving scouting.
He's very familiar with international basketball, scouts a lot of that.
Well, what's his takeaway from what he's seeing with Team USA and some of the challenges that lie ahead for them?
Well, the big thing is he believes that the rules are a real challenge for our players. And we've talked about on this show before the idea that you're playing It's the same game, but a different sport. And he compared it to the difference between Spanish and Portuguese. They sound like the same language, but they're not. They're different. And this is the same kind of thing in that the court is smaller, the lines are different, the rules are different, and it's just a big adjustment. And our players don't react instinctively a lot of times to what these rules are. And it has an impact. Plus, the game's more physical, and our players aren't used to that either.
That goes back to what you were talking about with some of the simple rules like offensive goaltending.
Mm-hmm. Balls on the rim or in the cone, you can hit it. Offense or defense. You can offensive goaltend. You can tip dunk on a ball sitting on the rim. Or you can knock it off if you're on defense. Our guys don't react to that because it's against our rules.
And you know how it is, too. If you know the rules and you're comfortable with the game, you're being an athlete. You're just reacting to what you're seeing. But when you're out there and you're kind of, you know how it is, the more you think, the more robotic you become on the floor. You don't flow.
Yeah, it's hard to think and play at the same time. Guys have said that. It's true. Plus, the three-point line is shallower, and I think Burkhart made a great point. It's like you'd think, oh, man, Steph's going to kill that closer three-point line. But, Chris, we don't think that's true, do we?
No, I think for a guy of his prowess, it's easier to actually step back. When you actually have to rein in your trajectory and your strength, I think it's much harder to make that shot. So a shorter three-point line doesn't make it easier.
All right, we'll come back, and when we do, we got a 4-pack of tickets to give away for the Hillsborough Hops, so you can sit in the Rip City Radio row. Also, the Seattle Mariners are a disaster right now, and we will hear their manager, Scott Service, explain that, plus an update from Jeff Passan in terms of what they may or may not do before the deadline. You got the Rip City Drive with Dwight and Chad. Justin Myers is going to stop by at 4:20. All right, 4 o'clock, Chad here. What is up, my friends? We start with the Mariners, who are on a slide. They fall again last night, this time to the Angels. They dropped 3 of 4 post All-Star break. After the game, Scott Service not happy.
Because I'm tired of watching it. Stand up for our guys, believe in them. Some nights, that's how Major League Baseball.
Seattle remains tied with Houston in the West. They host the Angels tonight. First pitch at 6:40. Logan Gilbert will be on the bump for the M's. Justin Myers is going to be live from Big Ten Media Days Thursday from Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. Be sure to listen to Rip City Mornings starting at 6. He'll join us coming up at 4:20. We'll get his take on what he's looking for from the Dan Lanning and the Ducks from Big Ten Media Days. After requesting a trade, the 49ers say they intend to keep wide receiver Brandon Ayuk. Elsewhere, Aaron Rodgers arrived at Jets camp today wearing a T-shirt with an Egyptian cat. The Jags have locked up cornerback Tyson Campbell on a 4-year, $76.5 million extension. Well, Burkhart's spinning some good music today, Godfather.
He's going deep tracks on us a little bit.
I'm all about the deep tracks,
I
man.
know you are.
Anytime you want to drop a deep track, I mean, I'm all for it. The Ginger, or the Kardashian of Portland Sports Radio, Justin Myers is going to join us coming up at 4:20. He's going to be heading out tomorrow to Indianapolis. He'll be there at Lucas Oil Stadium for Big Ten Media Days on Thursday. So he's going to have a chance to talk to a ton of different coaches and players and then different people covering the game of college football, which is great. He'll join us coming up at 4:20. I had a chance to roll into his neighborhood last night and drop some equipment off. So always look forward to talking to Justin and get a chance to hear from him. And we'll get to a Bo Nix update. We have one. We got one today.
Of course. Yeah.
Camps are open. And, oh, by the way, Bo Nix, I think he and his wife are doing pretty well.
Yeah, I think so, too. Yeah. And
Life of an NFL quarterback does not suck.
He got his signing bonus, and apparently he didn't put it all in the bank.
No. Spent a little bit of cash, got himself a crib, and he's going to be ready to hopefully start for the Denver Broncos this year. I'm telling you what, man, the more I think about it, if they do not start Bo Nix to begin the year, it's total nonsense. Oh, yeah, let's just roll out Jared Stidham because that's the right thing to do. Yeah. It's so dumb. Don't put a guy out there that you know stinks to high heaven is going to amount to nothing. Jared Stidham is not a starter. He is a career backup. And the other guy, the MILF Hunter or whatever his name is, what's his name? Zach Wilson?
Wilson, yeah.
Yeah. He might as well be walking around with a shirt with an Egyptian cat on it, too. He sucks. And don't give me this Jared Stidham or Zach Wilson nonsense. It's so dumb. Ain't that dumb? You drafted Bo Nix in the first round. Start the guy. Oh, but he might not be ready. I think he can figure it out. He played enough college games. He played enough college games to last a lifetime.
Yeah.
Like 500 college games under his belt. I think he's ready to go out there and test the waters in the NFL.
Yeah, he's going to be collecting a college pension one of these days from all those games.
Oh, but he might not be ready. You know what I hate, too, is like, oh, don't start him right away. Wait until you get about 5 or 6 weeks in. Yeah, because that's going to make a lot of difference. Just get him out there on the field. Let him learn on the job. I trust Bo Nix to be one of those guys that can embrace that type of moment. He's tough. He's smart. Yeah. He understands the game. I think he can learn on the job pretty well. And you know as well as I do, all the guys talk about it. Peyton Manning's talked about it. There's no substitute for just being out there on the field and playing.
Yeah.
Adjust to the speed, the live bullets, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, he's going to make mistakes. That's what he's out there for, to get those mistakes out of his system.
Plus, don't you think it's smart as a team to, like, what if he's not the guy? But you get him out there and you let him play, you find out real quick.
Yeah.
Because if he's not the guy, you don't want to be hold on into someone thinking he is the guy, but he's not the guy, and then you end up not continuing to draft quarterbacks. You just got to play him and find out, and if he's not the one, you keep drafting quarterbacks until you find your guy.
Yeah.
It's a simple process. All right, we have tickets to give away for the Hops. So if you would like to enjoy a night at Hillsborough Ballpark, enjoying some baseball and the beautiful sunny weather that we have here in the Northwest. In fact, I think you said you're getting ready to roll out to a Hops game. Is that this weekend?
We're going to go Sunday afternoon. Yeah, catch the afternoon game.
You going to get another wrap, or are you going to go with a dog this time?
That's a good question. I'm going to have to think about that for a couple of days.
That's okay.
Yeah. They have very good concessions out there.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Chris got to enjoy the concessions, except you got one flavor of sunflower seeds that weren't very good. What was that flavor?
It was like cinnamon.
Yeah.
So it tasted like a cinnamon toast crunch, and that's not the flavor you want in your seed.
No. But the other stuff you got was money.
Yeah, I bought all their flavors, and yeah, they're good.
Oh, I stumbled on two. I forgot the name of the brand, but like these pistachio nuts out of shell.
Yeah.
They're like salt and pepper. I had like 4 bags in front of me. I'm just like, I was like cornholio. They were just shoving them all in my mouth. It was like unbelievable. So good.
You're like, what?
There was a Beavis and Butthead reference.
Yeah.
I got you.
You got
I got you.
I just wanted him to repeat it.
They were good. You ever had that moment where you're like, what are these? And you start eating it, and before you know it, you've consumed like way too much of whatever it is that you're eating.
You're talking about my pretzels?
Oh, yeah. Those are good.
Yeah.
I told Dwight he brought in another one of his bags of Snyder's because he bought like 30 of them, and I'm thankful for that. But I brought him over to my side of the table here in the studio, and I started munching them. And then I was like, get them away from me. So I had to give the bag back to the Godfather because you won't stop eating them.
Yeah.
The Jalapeno Ranch Snyder's are one of the finest pretzels on the planet.
Yeah, it's Pretzel Hall of Fame. No question.
Dang,
First
the
foul.
food. It got me off track. I was supposed to give away tickets. Oh, yeah. So my uncle Roy was a great man. Donuts was his game. And we had a donut shop that was in the family for decades. And then he passed on that trait to my cousin, who's now running the best donut shops in Stillwater, Oklahoma. So what was I going to say about that? Oh, yeah. So donuts, which are wonderful, wonderful. Donuts are delicious. But I can attest that you think that you want more.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
There's too much sugar. The law of diminishing return applies quickly. It hits you all of a sudden. You're like, oh, what am I doing to myself right now?
And you always, like you go into a donut shop, and it's just for you. You always order at least one more than you're able to eat. I don't know why that is, but I can order 3. I can only eat 2.
Yeah.
Or order, 4 sometimes, eat 2.
Yeah.
It's crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But they look so good sitting there, under that case. Oh, my.
I hate, and it's the smell. They got the whole thing figured out. You can't just go in and be like, I'll just take one. And that doesn't work.
It doesn't work at all.
No, it doesn't work at all. All right. 4-pack of tickets for the Hops so you can enjoy some concessions out there. Just stay away from the Cinnamon Toast Crunch sunflower seeds. That's just the opinion of Chris Burkhardt and Chad Doing. Call now. Your telephone number is 503-248-0620, 503-248-0620. Call now, and you'll receive a 4-pack of tickets for the Hops, and you can sit in the Rip City Radio Row. 503-248-0620. All right, I'm going to save the vocal cords today. I've done enough yelling over the last few days.
Yeah.
What was that town that Jason wanted me to yell at? Buxton! I'd never even heard of Buxton, Oregon. Have you been to Buxton, Oregon?
Yeah. It's not far outside.
Oh, you found out who's got the picture of Johnny Cash and your dad. Or the picture of Johnny Cash that he gave your dad.
I called my brother, and he said, oh, don't you remember? Will has it. That's my son. So I texted Will, and he said,
Will?
I do have it, but I got to look for it. I have no idea where it is. So the search is on back in Kentucky for this picture.
It's in Kentucky now.
Yes, it is.
That's pretty
But
awesome.
he'll take a picture of it and send it to us.
All right, the Mariners, Godfather, are a hot mess.
Oh, gosh. That's being kind.
Hot mess.
They're a cold mess.
Oh, my gosh. They dropped, they've lost 3 of 4 since the beginning of the second half. And last night was like a vintage Mariner loss where they get elite starting pitching.
1 run in the first, don't score the rest of the night.
No run support, great starting pitching, and then the bullpen once again fell apart.
Last 6 games, the Mariners starting pitchers have a 1.63 earned run average, and they're 1-5 in those games. They've won 1 of those 6 with their starters giving up fewer than 2 earned runs a game. That's incredible.
Well, I think Scott Service has had enough. Let's take a listen to some of his thoughts after last night's 3-1 loss to the Angels.
Another way to put it, that was brutal. Brutal ending of that ball game. I don't want to lose sight of what Bryce Miller did. He pitched a heck of a game for us to give us a chance in the ball game, as good as he's been really at any point all year. So I tip my hat to him and the effort he gave us to keep them off the scoreboard. Obviously, we got a little something going early, and that was it. So, and then we gifted them the game there at the end, walking some guys, and they finally got a big hit. So no way to sugarcoat it. Just handed them a ball game tonight, and in a situation we're in, every game's really important. Disappointed. Our guys usually make plays at the end of the game, throw strikes. We didn't do that tonight, and obviously it cost us the game.
You've shown a lot of patience with what you've seen. Why tonight?
Because I'm tired of watching it. Stand up for our guys, believe in them. Some nights, that's not Major League Baseball. We handed them a game. It all depends where we want to be 60 days or 60 games from now. You want to be playing playoff baseball, you want to be driving home. 60 games. Talk about being a marathon. It's getting to be close to a sprint. Not quite there yet. We're getting close. So 60 games. You got to show up and compete. Go ready to take it every night. And if you don't, this league doesn't care. They'll just walk on by you. That's where we're at. So everybody has to step up. That's where we're at. And I thought, yesterday's game, we competed very well. We got after it. Didn't show up. Didn't happen tonight. And that's inexcusable. And just gifted the game away.
He's getting irritated.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's one of those things that you say to your players after the game in the clubhouse, maybe 3 days ago, and you're not seeing results, and it's like, okay, I got to go public with it. I don't want to, but I have to call them out. You got to call your guys out on something like that.
I think it was the right time to do it.
Oh.
Hey, you guys got to wake up, man. You got to wake up because we just blew a 10-game lead in division in 24 days, and we dropped 3 or 4 to kick off the second half. It's funny, and I'm not even joking about this, but we've been talking about what are they going to do? Who are they going to get? What type of help are they looking for? What's DePoto going to do? Are they even going to be? Are they going to be sellers? Maybe they look at it the other way, where it's like, we stink, man. We're not going anywhere. So forget this. We're going to be sellers and try to stockpile. I wouldn't be surprised if they go in that direction. What's the latest? What's Jeff Passan think about their opportunities to make something happen?
Well, he thinks there are players out there who could help them. There are certainly players they could go get, but they just are so reluctant to part with anything of value. And everybody knows if you want to bring somebody in there who can have an impact, you got to give away something that has impact too. But they have enough pitching. You can spare one of those guys. Your pitching's fine. Dump a couple of those guys out. Some people say, and I think Passan said, their farm system is at least top 5, maybe higher. Some people think it's
baseball.
In all of baseball. Some people think it might even be the best. Part with a couple of young prospects. You're not going to need them. They wouldn't get there for another couple of years anyway. Move them. Bring somebody in who can help. How do you expect people to continue to pay for this? They're not going to. If your team's scoring runs, you're at least satisfied at the game. When they get shut out all the time, that's not fun.
How would you like to be one of their starting pitchers right now?
Oh, God. Oh, man. So unrewarding.
I got to tell you what, too. Watching a game where no one can hit the ball, it sucks.
Oh, it's terrible.
It's terrible.
It's terrible. And they put in rules. All these rules are designed for more activity on the bases, more things to happen.
Can Major League Baseball set up a rule where only the Mariners can have court bats, court balls, and juice?
I don't think
Would that help?
They don't make enough contact. There's 27 outs in a game. Last night they struck out 14 times. If you're making more than half your outs without even hitting the ball, you're going to have a problem.
They're done, man. They are done, Godfather. It sucks.
Stick a fork in them.
Stick a fork in them. At least if Sweet Lou was still managing him, he could go out there and blow up or something.
Yeah. He would create enough showmanship on his own that you'd be satisfied.
It would distract you from. He could start a fire over here, which would take your attention away from the fire over here.
He'd go over toward first base, pull it up out of its little hole in the ground, and throw it somewhere. And okay, got my money's worth.
I'm a big fan of managers lobbing bases around the diamond. I think it's great.
Yeah. Or going to the bat rack and pull them all off and throw them on the field. Some poor bat boy's got to go out there and pick them all up.
It's not the manager that picks it up, is it?
No, never. Well, he's on his way to the clubhouse after being kicked out. That's the problem.
All right, when we come back, Justin Myers, host of Rip City Mornings, will join us, and we'll get his take on Big Ten Media Days coming up on Thursday.
I am Cornholio.
All right, Justin Myers is going to be live from Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis on Thursday for Big Ten Media Days, courtesy of Dick Hanna Dealerships. Dick Hanna, believe in nice, and he joins us right now on the show. Hey, Justin, what do you think about Oregon's latest efforts to shock everyone with a gigantic Oregon duck floating in the Indianapolis River?
I mean, why not, right? Billboards Joey Harrington 20 years ago, and, 20 years later, Oregon's putting big Oregon duck floaties in the White River. I mean, at one point, do you stop? If you're Oregon, just keep moving forward. Just keep doing anything and everything that will get you noticed. Here's the thing. We know this. The reason why I'm going on Thursday is because that's the day that Oregon is featured. There's 3 days of Big Ten Media Days. Ohio State is there today. They are, other than Oregon, probably the prohibitive favorite to win the Big Ten and definitely to make the playoff. And everybody was talking about Oregon this morning because they put a big duck floaty in the river.
That thing would scare puppy shots, and he would bark at it. That's all I can say about that. It's massive. It's unbelievable.
Oh, my goodness. Crash would have that thing down, I would think, within 4.2 seconds. He would have that thing deflated and ripped to shreds in 4.2 seconds.
Seriously, though, if I can be serious,
okay.
Justin, how they are so good at stuff like that. I mean, I think they have, and we used to credit Nike for all that stuff, and I don't think that's fair to the University of Oregon. I think there must be some really bright people on staff down there who come up with these marketing gimmicks that really do get them a lot of attention. You know anything about that? Where do these things start?
I do. I think it comes from the athletic department. I think there's definitely some funding by the people in the swoosh land over in Beaverton. But I think it's been an effort for Oregon really since 1999 to be out on the forefront of innovation in terms of marketing, knowing that you aren't going to be able to back then out-recruit these teams. You aren't going to be able to back then outspend these teams. So what can you do? Well, you can figure out, just like they do in politics, right? Free media, or putting up billboards in Los Angeles and Seattle and New York, like we talked about, creating, uniform discussions. And the other thing, Dwight, I think that Oregon doesn't get enough credit for, they haven't all been home runs, but they aren't afraid to take a swing and a miss.
Yeah,
so
right.
You go back and look at we all remember when they put up the Joey Harrington billboard, but more importantly, you remember when they put up those billboards in LA, right by the Coliseum, right by the campus of USC. They put up one in Seattle, and everybody laughed, and everybody made fun of them, and everybody said, what on earth is Oregon doing? What kind of a clown? Well, it worked. It got everybody talking about it. Not every uniform combination has been a home run, but for the most part, almost every time, including this offseason, every time Oregon comes out with a new uniform, everybody talks about it. They're far from the only school anymore that is doing high-level marketing, but because over the last 20 years, they've built up a reputation, I think, of being unafraid. And if they do throw out a clunker, Robo-Duck, looking in your direction, if they throw out a clunker, scratch it off, on to the next. And I think that's a tribute to the athletic directors there. I mean, it did kind of start with Bill Moose, and Mike Bellotti was in that athletic director position, but also, a lot of those associate ADs that go unnoticed. And now what Rob Mullins has done is being unafraid to take big swings, and maybe a handful of Big Ten snooty, stick up their bums, old school guys looked like putting a duck in the river. What is this coming into the Big Ten? But you know what? Twitter talked about it for a good 4 hours today.
We're talking with Justin Myers, host of Rip City Mornings here on the Rip City Drive. So for you going in, what are the big storylines that you're looking to get a hold of when you get there? What are you paying attention to?
A couple of them. First and foremost, the expectation level for Oregon, right? It is finally the place where I think Oregon fans have wanted to be, but secretly dreaded, Chad. Yeah. We like being underdog. Nobody cares about us. Nobody's paying attention to us. This is East Coast bias. Well, guess what? That's not it anymore. Look at every top five. Look at every recruiting roster evaluation, from the transfer portal, from high school recruiting, everything on down. Oregon is at the top, or at least in the top 3 of every recruiting rankings. There are some people that say Oregon may have the best roster in college football with the transfer portal and with what Dan Lanning has done. Well, guess what? Now biggest expectations that I can remember for Oregon football, I think since 2001, right? 2001, I mentioned the Joey billboard, but Joey Harrington was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. He was on the cover of ESPN, the magazine. Oregon was, national championship or bust that year. And since then, they've had a couple of runs at a national title, but never quite like this. So to me, the biggest thing for Oregon, how does Dan Lanning, a guy who has been killing it in NIL, has been killing it in recruiting, but does not have a big win to his name, doesn't have a big win as a head coach to his name. How does he handle the expectation? And then the other thing is, and I'm curious what you guys think, in college football in years past, the Big Ten has always had an identity, right? Big Ten, big boy, 3 yards in a cloud of dust, smash mouth football. But with all this realignment and with the 12-team playoff and with now, that Oregon, Washington, USC, and UCLA aren't going to change their style. I'm curious if there's going to be a Big Ten style or if that's going to be a thing of the past now that all these conferences are starting to starting to band together and create kind of almost super corporations.
I wanted to ask you, Justin, what are the burning questions that you just can't wait to ask Dan Lanning?
Think about the big ones. Dwight, are you excited for the season?
Good. Start with that.
How was your off-season workouts? Was there great preparation? No, to me, especially for Dan Lanning, is how does he handle as a head coach? Because I think one of the best things he's done beyond recruiting has been messaging. He's been unbelievably good at messaging, from the pregame speech against Colorado last year to making a recruiting video with, maybe he was offered the job at Alabama, maybe he wasn't. Who knows? Doesn't matter. Oregon fans will believe it forever that he turned down Alabama, but he has always kind of had that messaging that the grass is green in Eugene. I'm not going anywhere. How does he handle the expectations with his players and keeping them focused? Because we have seen teams come in with big, high national championship expectations, and they've fallen apart by the end of September. So I think that's the biggest question, is of a guy in his third year, how do you handle now, and how do you handle players that can't ignore it? They're all on Instagram. Some of them are on Twitter, even though Twitter is most for us old dudes, but they're all on social media. They see what everybody's saying. How do you handle the pressure of everybody saying you should win the Big Ten, you should go to the playoff and be playing for a national title?
Hey, Justin, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but I'm curious where you're at on this. Going into the season, your preseason top 5 in college football, who would they be?
I think Oregon, Ohio State out of the Big Ten. I think Georgia is going to be in the mix. I don't want to, but I think Miami is going to be good, guys. I really do. I have no faith in Mario Cristobal's coaching in game, but they've got Cam Ward. They have got Damian Martinez, and he's kind of been recruiting in Miami the way. So I would go sneaky pick Miami, and then 5th, I think Texas. I think Texas is the best team in the SEC. And Chad, I would throw for teams that could be in there as well: Penn State, Oklahoma, and the other one that I'm going to be keeping a very big eye on. What's Kalen DeBoer going to be doing at Alabama? So I know you asked for 5. I gave you 8, but I think Miami's a sneaky one. I think Oregon, Ohio State, Texas, and then I think there's and Georgia. That would be my top 5 in no particular order.
Okay, Justin, I heard that, and you kind of went kind of fast for me.
Okay, I talk fast. You know this, Dwight.
Were you doing that? Were you doing that in order? Did you have Oregon 1 and Ohio State 2? Or correct me if I'm wrong.
No, Dwight, I was going regionally because Chad put me on the spot. Didn't tell me he was going to have me do a top 5 today in the middle of July. But that's okay. We don't reject the questions on this radio station. We just accept it and move on. I think if I'm going to, now that I've got about 28 seconds to get my thoughts correct, I think I would go Texas 1. I would go Ohio State 2. I would put Georgia 3. I would put Oregon 4, and then I think I put Alabama at 5, just because, even though Saban's gone, DeBoer's in, the roster they still have Jalen Milroe. The roster turnover was not as big as others, like at Washington. So I think I got to go Alabama 5. So that would be my top 5 in order.
Wow. Justin Myers, Rip City Mornings here on the Rip City Drive. That's going to be pretty sweet to have you out there, man. I can't wait to get your reaction to what you see and all the different people that are going to be out there because this football season is brand new. We have new conferences. Oregon's in a different conference, and we're going to have the expanded playoff, man. This is what we've been waiting for a long time. It's the best.
Well, and that's going to be the other thing that I think I want to get to, and I'm curious what other people covering the conference and other people covering college football are in, because we have all been around college football for decades upon decades, and there's always been, even with a 14 playoff, there's always been kind of a formula, right? Have a decent strength of schedule, be a power. It used to be power 6, then it was power 5, now it's power 4, but be a power conference team, go undefeated or one loss, and you got a chance at a national title. Well, that's out the window anymore, right? That's done. You can go 10-2. Heck, I think, and we were talking about this on the show, you can go 9-3 with the right 3 losses and some luck and sneak your way into the playoff. We have never seen in college football November and then into December means so much more. It was one of the things that I always loved about college football was that, September games brought so much tension and energy, because if you blew a game in September, you could be out of it. You could be on the outside looking in. Well, now you have to throw another factor in. Our team's getting hot at the right time. Our team's getting healthy at the right time. And we have to just kind of wipe away the whiteboard, erase the whiteboard, and kind of change the way we evaluate things in college football, because you could see the number 8 team in the country at the end of the regular season win the national championship. I mean, how often does the best team in college basketball even go to the Final Four yet win the thing? So that's going to be the most intriguing thing heading into this season, is how do we evaluate success? How do we evaluate these teams? And the factor of, boy, this team's getting hot in November, this team's getting healthy in November. Can somebody make a 8 or a 9 seed and make a run at this playoff? It's going to be unlike anything we've ever seen.
It was great to come out and check out your crib last night, man. I had a chance to see the backyard, the setup. Your wife was there. I got to see Crash. It was a beautiful afternoon, man. I like what you guys got going on.
You got to see the backyard oasis. Sorry, no, there are no real games on. We didn't want to watch the Mariners stink, so kept the TV covered. But yeah, you got to see the backyard oasis, and you got to meet Crash. He gave you a little sniff, said he's cool. Crash went right back to laying down because he's a lazy old dog. But yeah, came out to the southeast side and saw the Myers, the Myers oasis.
I just want to be back there when Crash runs into a possum or some other critter so I can see him go crazy. That's what I wanted to see.
Oh, he was after the crows today. I don't know if you guys know this about crows, but they are evil. They are evil birds. They are mean-spirited. They are not just happy-go-lucky animals looking for food. They are mean-spirited, and they're coordinated. And like, we have these crows, and one will perch up above on a power line and call out to the other crows like the coast is clear, and then I'll let Crash out and he'll get out there and ruffle some feathers, literally. And then they throw out the emergency call. So yeah, it's been Crash versus the Crows all summer long.
I like it. Justin Myers live from Big Ten Media Days in Indianapolis, Lucas Oil Stadium, coming up on Thursday, courtesy of Dick Hanna. Dick Hanna, Believe in Nice, Dick Hanna Dealerships. It's going to be great to have you out there, my friend. Have fun on your trip. And
yes.
What time do you take off tomorrow?
Take off at 2:00 tomorrow, land, because I lose 3 hours. Land around 11:30 at night in Indy. Up bright and early for the morning show. We are live 6 a.m. local, 9 a.m. in Indy from Lucas Oil Stadium, and then we're going to be there all day. Hopefully, trying to get as many people on the show as possible.
That turnaround is going to be brutal.
It's, you know what? I'm being fueled up on venti Starbucks, and my excitement and love for college football is what is going to fuel me over the next 48 hours. By the way, before we get out of here, Dwight, I did have a question for you, because I was listening to the last segment, and just, Dwight, you and I talking. Chad, don't worry about this.
Okay.
I know that Chad is a very disciplined eater, and he talks about how he counts his calories. But then I hear the tone of his voice when he starts talking about, cinnamon sugar sunflower seeds and donuts. And how long before he cracks and we find him like laying in like a cubicle somewhere in the office with like a dozen Krispy Kremes and like 3 or 4 burgers? And how long before Chad cracks? I feel like we're like 4 months away from Chad just losing it and going on a complete food bender.
Justin, I've tried to facilitate such a happening. I have to tell you, I offer him all kinds of junk, and he won't take the bait. I have tried to push him over the edge. He is just not going to go there. I'm convinced of that. He's crazy. I mean, he's ignoring some of the best food in the world. He won't even touch it. He won't look at it. He won't smell it. He ignores it, and it's very upsetting to a guy like me who. I mean, give me a good, like a raspberry donut or a Boston cream pie or, something like that that's not only good, it's good for you, but he doesn't seem to want to go ahead.
I just hear, Chad, I hear the tone in your voice when you start talking about the bad food. And like, I don't want to say I've heard that before from other people who have suffered from certain addictions that knew that a relapse was coming, but it sounds familiar. Like, you got the one buddy who doesn't drink anymore, but he wants to take a sniff of your beer. Like, let me just smell that real quick.
Yeah, right.
That's, I don't want to say
how it works, Justin. You're well aware the pleasure that you experience for a couple of moments, it can never outweigh the guilt that you feel the next morning when you step on the scale. It's the worst.
That is true. I hear it. I hear it in your voice, and I'm like, I think one day you're just going to be like,
happen.
I can't make it today, boys.
I've learned in life anything's possible. Never say never. Never say never.
There you go.
All right, buddy. Enjoy your trip, man. We'll talk soon.
All right, you guys are the best. Have a great one.
There you go, Justin Myers. Going to be heading out. It does remind me of. Luke prepared me when I did my first bodybuilding competition. You have to go through months. It takes about 4 months to get ready for a show, and that's a series of reducing calories, dropping body fat. And Burkhart's done it, so he's well aware of the process. And the first one I went through, everything was on track. And, you go through hunger pains because you drop your calories down to, 1,600, 1,500, whatever it takes to get the job done. And there was one night where I was experiencing a craving, and I looked in the pantry and there was a box of Nilla wafers,
Oh, yeah.
Not exactly a cookie I would go to, but in the moment, everything sounded good to me, right?
If it has sugar in it, it's calling to you.
So I thought, well, one's not going to hurt. So I ate one, and then I ate another one. And then before I knew it, I had eaten an entire box of Nilla wafers. And then I'm probably about a month out from competition, right? And then I experienced this incredible sugar rush, and I felt like I could lift a mountain with one pinky, right? And then I started to crash, and then I started to feel guilty. And so I called Luke. I'm like, dude, I just ate a whole box of Nilla wafers. And he started laughing. He's like, don't worry, I've been there. He goes, just don't do any more of that. Wake up the next morning and get right back on track and make sure you continue to drink your water. And he goes, your system will flush that out. It's not going to damage you, but you can't let that happen again. And so I didn't. And the funny thing is, I had gone like 3.5 months of just perfection. Yeah. And so when I ate that box of Nilla wafers, I had a little pooch, because my stomach wasn't used to that type of volume. But for a few minutes, the sugar rush, I felt like some sort of a god. It was incredible. And then the crash.
Sugar,
a whole box.
Tell you, sugar's a terrible addiction. It's brutal.
All right, we'll keep things rolling. Speaking of sugar, when we come back, the Kelsey brothers have got a phenomenal idea that they're going to put in action.
Yeah, speaking of sugar.
Yeah. We'll tell you what that is next. All right, love the talking heads. Nice work, Burkhart. All right, this is a fabulous story right here. Jason and Travis Kelce have teamed up with General Mills to combine their favorite cereals, Godfather.
Yeah.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch, Lucky Charms, and Reese's Puffs into one bowl called the Kelce Mix. That's the sugar we were talking about right there. Where was the Kelce Mix when I was preparing for competition and needed to binge on something? But I love this, and the reason why is because in my household growing up, and my dad still continues the tradition, mixing cereals was commonplace. My mom would buy 3 or 4 different boxes, and I could never decide on just one. So I would have Fruity Pebbles mixed in with Cookie Crisp or whatever other cereals we had, and I would just put it all in one big bowl, and I put the milk in there and just devour it. It was amazing, and I loved all the different textures and tastes and all the different things I would feel, and I loved that. So I'm curious, did you used to mix cereals when you were younger?
I did, Chad. I strictly for taste purposes, you might
Well, of
know.
course.
Yes. No, my mom, I'd say I made the mistake of saying I liked Wheaties because they always had some athlete on the front of the box.
Yeah, they
so,
just forgot to tell you that aside from the awesome box, that the cereal was kind of blah.
very bland. But I said that one time. She bought that for me the rest of my life, it seemed like.
So you punked yourself.
So I would sneak in some Cocoa Puffs or some Tricks. Tricks were for kids. That was, remember that?
I do, yeah. And it didn't taste very good. It was kind of plain.
Tricks?
No, Tricks. Kicks, it was for kids. And it was kind of a plain taste.
Oh, I thought it was Tricks were for
No,
kids.
Tricks was the flavored stuff.
Whoa,
Yeah.
no. Tricks, silly rabbit. Tricks are for kids.
Yes, thank you, Chris. Tricks are for kids. They had that rabbit.
Was that the saying? Then what was the plain cereal that they marketed as a kid's cereal?
That was Kicks.
Yeah.
But the saying was silly rabbit. Tricks are for kids.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
and Tricks was all different kind of flavors.
Yeah, Tricks was delicious. Kicks
Yeah.
was like plain.
Oh,
It was
no,
like,
Kicks was no good.
Get out of here with that
Forget
nonsense.
that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like Raisin
Yeah,
Bran.
the Kicks slogan, Kicks was kid tested, parent approved.
That's right. Yeah, kid tested, parent approved. That's a bunch of bullcrap because I tested it and it sucked when I was that age.
Did you ever have to, how about oatmeal? Did you have to do oatmeal?
Yeah, but I like that. But we in Oklahoma, oatmeal was occasional, but it was malto-meal that was the big stuff back there. And I ate that because Nana made it the right way. She made sure there were lumps in it because I like the lumps. But, we'd put sugar and butter in the malto-meal. And it's amazing how much better anything tastes when you have butter and sugar in it.
We put brown sugar on top. That was pretty good.
Yeah, I've always been an oatmeal fan. I still eat oatmeal now, and I like it with fruit put in there. I love, brown sugar is amazing. But, yeah, oatmeal is great. But when I was younger, I think Chris mentioned it, Captain Crunch, fabulous cereal. I don't understand why the roof of my mouth got tore up every time I ate Captain Crunch, but it was a delicious cereal. And my dad, when I was younger, I thought Raisin Bran was hideous. I do like it now. I like raisins, and I'll eat Raisin Bran. But I think my dad, he mixes like Raisin Bran with some type of granola, and there's something else he puts in there. But he gets like a trio of different things in there. But yeah, Raisin Bran, I always thought that was like old people cereal. And now that I'm older, I don't mind it. It's not so bad.
I just, for some reason, I couldn't do raisins in my breakfast cereal.
What was the whole spin they put on that? 2 scoops in each box? I think that was a crock, too.
Yeah.
Because every time I put it in there, it's like, there's more flakes than there's raisins. What's up with that? I used to love the toys, too, that they would put inside of cereal boxes. And I would just, you have to jam your hand all the way down to the bottom of the bag of cereal to get to the toy. I was big on toys and Cracker Jacks and cereal. I thought that was genius. And Nana used to cut out the proofs of purchase, that you could save for different items or whatever. Yeah. And we used to have, did you have green stamps growing up?
Oh, God, yeah.
We used to collect green stamps, and then they had an actual green stamp store in Ponca City, Oklahoma, that you could go down to and buy different items for the green stamps you saved.
You could redeem your stamps. But I'll tell you what was worse, and I watched my mother put this together. Oh, God, I'm embarrassed. Raleigh coupons.
Yeah.
Remember Raleigh cigarettes, and they had their coupons on the back? And she would collect those because I'll tell you what, there were a lot of Raleighs smoked in my house there for a while. They both eventually quit smoking, but yeah, those Raleigh coupons, there was big stacks of them on the dining room table. God.
My grandma had the same thing. I forgot which kind she smoked, but she would collect the stamps, and then you could send it in for different items or whatever. There were a lot of different things you could send in for back then. But the green stamps, every time we went through the line at the grocery store, that guy had that little, almost like an old school telephone dial. He'd go, and the green stamps would pop out, and I'm
Spit
like,
right out of there.
bling them to Chad. And then I'm surprised I didn't have some type of disease from licking those stamps because they tasted hideous.
You mentioned, though, the toys inside the Cracker Jacks.
Yeah.
They were so much better in those days than they are now.
Yeah, they suck now.
They give you a little sticker or something now.
Yeah, the sticker's like, come on, man, that's the best you got.
They used to have a real toy.
And they used to have, when you would buy the bigger tub of Cracker Jack, sometimes I could trick Grandma into buying that, and the better toy in that, too. Those are the days, man. You would buy something, and they'd have something in the bottom.
Yeah.
The marketing on kids is pretty genius. We're going to put a nice toy in here. They'll beg Mom to get it, and then we'll load it up with sugar to get them hooked on it.
Baseball cards with the bubble gum inside, which tasted terrible, but you got the bubble gum along with your cards.
I love that. I loved the crunchy bubble gum.
Oh,
just by the way it smelled, the cards and the bubble gum. And then you're like, this is great. And then you put it in your mouth, and it's breaking up like glass in your pie
like
hole.
Chew it on cardboard.
Dude, I love going to card shops, man. That was the best.
Oh, yeah.
The best.
Yeah, it was fun. For sure.
I loved it, Godfather, like the Donruss and the Tops and all the different things you could look at.
Mm-hmm.
I do wish I could, for like a few moments, if we could go back to be kids, to go to like a card and comic store. And if I got Nana there, she would buy, it was almost like having an unlimited credit line because Nana felt like I needed everything.
Gosh, and I had all those. I never saved one single comic book. I did save the cards, never comic books, never my old Mad magazines. I didn't save those. All that stuff's worth something now.
All right, when we come back, we got Chris Jansen tickets to give away. We'll do that, and then we'll talk about the Ducks. Go big or go home. You got the Rip City Drive. All right, Chad here. It is now 5 o'clock. Don't forget, Justin Myers will be live from Big Ten Media Days Thursday from Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis.
Yes!
Be sure to listen to Rip City Mornings at 6. It's presented by Dick Hanna Dealerships. Dick Hanna, believe in nice. After requesting a trade, the 49ers say they intend to keep wide receiver Brandon Ayuk. Aaron Rodgers is at Jets camp. The rest of camps are open as football season is about to get underway. The Jags have signed cornerback Tyson Campbell to a 4-year, $76.5 million extension. The Mariners, another loss last night. They've dropped 3 of their last 4 to kick off the second half. Angels tonight at T-Mobile Park. First pitch at 6:40, and Logan Gilbert will be on the bump for the Mariners. More Rip City Drive with Dwight and Chad coming at you right now. We have a pair of tickets for Chris Jansen to give away. We'll do that next. Well, I agree with Chris Burkhart's assessment that you should be a DJ. He's killing it today.
Rapper's Delight. Sugar Hill Gang. Love it.
All right, Chris Jansen is going to be at the Clark County Fairgrounds August 4th, and the tickets we're going to give away include fair admission, which Dwight and I established yesterday. Nowadays, to get into the fair, not cheap, I can tell you that much.
Yeah.
In fact, Dad, I want to go to the fair. What that means is they're going to just open up my wallet and set it on fire.
If you get in, though, it gives you a chance to buy one of those monstrosities that they sell for like $25 with a hot dog with everything in the kitchen just poured on top of it, you know?
Yeah, the kitchen sink on top, and you go from there. The one thing I have not eaten at a fair that I would like to eat, I always see people walking around with those giant turkey legs that have been smoked.
Oh, God. No, thanks on
It
that.
looks like the club of, who was that guy in, was it Flintstones? Bam Bam? Like, that's what it looks like, man, a giant Bam Bam club. And I think, I really want to eat one of those. But I'm not going to the fair. I avoid it like the plague because I just can't deal with the parking lot and the crowds, and it's total chaos. So what I do is I swoop in, drop off the kids, have a good time, and then I'll pick them up. I just can't deal with the masses. Too much.
You don't ever go to listen to the musical acts that come there?
Well, if there's a good musical act, I'll be there. I've done it for Foreigner, Hall & Oates, some other bands, America. I told you about that time when admission to get into the Clark County Fair was $6, and I got to see America for $6. I was like, this is the greatest thing in the history of life right here, right now.
Yeah.
Couldn't believe it.
I saw Sheryl Crow in Salem at the State Fair one time. Yeah. I was really upset, though, because all the women in the row in front of me were singing louder than she was singing. One of my pet peeves at a concert. I didn't come to hear you sing. I want to hear Sheryl Crow sing. Do you mind?
That really bothers me.
I actually said something, and they were really upset at me.
Why does anyone think it's okay for them to sing at a level that drowns out what the artist is doing and you got other people around you? That's what I hate. It's like, hey, morons, you're not in here for a private showing. Sheryl Crow is not just singing to you, but everyone else here. And so if you're being loud and obnoxious and singing too loud, we can't hear her.
Yes.
And I don't want to hear you. Shut up. Why is that so hard to understand? That happens to me all the time. We got that at the Eagles concert down in Phoenix we went to.
Yeah. And the guy didn't have the words right either. That makes it even worse.
Guy was a complete moron. And I was in the middle of doing some high-level personal recording during one of the songs that is very important to me.
Yeah. You're messing up my pirate video here. Take it easy.
Dude, one of these nights, and he's in there singing it, and I still have the audio. It's like I can hear the guy. I wanted to punch him. Like, what are you doing right now? This is why I paid the money I paid to be here. And This is what you're bringing to me right now.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
He
to
was
me.
drunk, too, I think. Appeared to be.
Oh, he was drunk. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's no question.
Yeah.
That really ticked me off. That really bothers me. Gosh, I hate that so much. It's like, what are you doing, man?
Yeah.
And not only that, but he can't sing. That's what makes it worse. He had a bad voice.
Yeah. Everybody thinks they have a good voice.
And he was like some type of New York transplant, too, because he had like, it was a tank top and a gold chain and like chest hair.
Oh, yeah, that really works. You see that in Phoenix, though, once in a while. The retirees, you see that. This guy wasn't a retiree. He was a younger guy, but still.
Yeah, he was right out of Central Casting.
Yeah. Velour tracksuit with little jewelry around the neck.
Yeah, he probably drives an IROC with like the 16-band equalizer.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that does not sit well in my stomach. Anyways, we have tickets for Chris Jansen, and August 4th, Clark County Fairgrounds. We'll take the first caller through, 503-248-0620. Fire away. It is your show. You take it over.
The Jowls! Let me hear you.
503, Stevenson.
Golden Dale.
503-248-0620. Kennewick.
Wishram.
503-248-0620 is your telephone number. Fire away with your phone calls right now, and you'll get a pair of tickets for Chris Jansen at the Clark County Fairgrounds.
I got to go back through all these episodes and like name the cities. Be like, guys, you haven't said Baker yet. You got to give them a shout out.
Baker!
LeGrand.
Sisters! React to us!
Oh, God.
Sisters is a beautiful town, though, I would say.
Oh, yeah. Very nice. Mhm.
What's that ski slope? Voodoo! Isn't there like a ski slopes voodoo or something like that?
Government camp.
Government camp. What was that little island out there by your house that used to be on the water? What is that island out there?
Oh, Savi Island?
Savi Island! Do you want to go to Chris Jansen? 503-248-0620.
Represent.
I've actually picked berries out of Savi Island before.
Yeah.
Yeah, some girl talked me into going out there one day and, picking berries. Like, if someone says, you want to go pick berries, my normal thought is like, no, I really don't. I don't want to do that. But I went out there and I have to admit, it was kind of nice.
There's a nude beach there,
There is?
Yeah.
She didn't take me to that.
No, well, I knew better. She knew better.
If she would have said, hey, how about some boobies and we pick berries, I would have been like, yeah, that sounds like a pretty good idea.
Yeah, I had the kayak out one day. It was a really nice day. I was kayaking around, and I thought,
Did you see any tatas?
somewhere along here is the nude beach. And I kind of kept looking, and all of a sudden, yeah, that's the nude beach right there.
You found it.
Yeah, there was actually nobody out there at that time that I really wanted to see naked, though.
Kayaking for trim. I never knew that was possible. I will say this. I already shared the story, but my buddy who moved away for a while, he wrote me that letter when I was in the 8th grade. He's like, yeah, I hear there's a nudist colony around here. I'm going to go find it. Well, when he reported back, he said that the people that showed up at the nudist colony were not what he had envisioned.
Yeah.
Let's just put it that way. Sometimes the fantasy doesn't match up with reality, unfortunately.
No, it's not a Playboy fantasy camp. It's really not.
You think it is, but then when you see it, it's not.
No.
This is not what I signed up for.
And you think, why would these people want others to see them naked?
Well, why do you think that we want you to have your clothes off? There's a freedom in that, Godfather.
Yes, I guess.
All right, the Oregon Ducks are back to doing what they're doing. I got to admit, I like what Oregon does, utilizing their vast resources to put a billboard up here, paint a mural on the side of a building here, or whatever they decide to do. If you got the money and the power to do that, and you can, spread your wings to bring more eyeballs to your school and what you're trying to do in recruiting, I'm fine with that. But I've got to admit that the gigantic duck that's in the Indianapolis River takes the cake.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that all day. Where did they get that? I mean, it's not something you see every day. That's a big duck, okay?
It's gigantic.
You think it's inflatable? It must be inflatable, huh? Do you think?
It has to be.
Yeah.
But it looks like one of those gigantic floats that you would see in the Macy's Day Parade.
Yeah, it does.
It's unbelievable. And again, when you can do something, think about that. You've got some big schools, defending national champs, Michigan, Ohio State, which is a pretty big brand, and yet the talk of the town is Oregon because they got a gigantic duck floating in the river.
Yeah.
In their very first media day as members of the Big Ten.
Yeah, they weren't shy as newcomers at all. They weren't concerned. No stage fright there. They're going to make an impact.
That's like Broadway Joe sitting poolside with the fur coat, the mink coat. You do something to get noticed, but this is Oregon's MO, and I've got to give them credit. I would like to know who they've hired and brought in that comes up with their aggressive marketing style to get their name out there, to do things that are out of the ordinary that no one else would think of doing. Like it's creativity like that I admire.
Well, Chris will back me up on this. When we were at NBC Sports Northwest, we had no budget for promotion. So it was always, we used to have these meetings. It was probably before Chris was there. What can we do in guerrilla marketing? In other words, marketing that doesn't cost you any money. Yeah. Best anybody ever came up with, well, gee, let's mimeograph some stuff and put it under people's windshield wipers in the parking lot at the Moda Center. Yeah, that really works. Yeah.
Because the type of marketing that pisses you off will work with everybody else, right?
Yeah.
I have never grabbed anything that someone left under my windshield wiper and kept it. I just wad it up and move along.
Mm-hmm.
It just drives you crazy. No one wants that, right? No one wants that.
No, you irritate them.
But I do think it works because, again, they're not putting the gigantic duck in the river for you and I. They're putting it out there for youngsters who see that, and they want big, and they want awesome, and they want multicolored uniforms. They want the whole shebang, and they want the great facilities, and they want the flash money. And when you can put a big duck in the Indianapolis River, I'm guessing that wasn't the cheapest thing you could have done. I just think it's creative, and it's out-of-the-box thinking like that. And what I've learned in life is that most of the ideas that people come up with that turned out to be successes, they were thought to be absurd when they first mentioned them, right?
Yeah.
The idea of Sports Illustrated at one time was no one is going to buy a weekly sports magazine. That's stupid.
Yeah.
Well, it turns out that a lot of people bought a weekly sports magazine for many years.
Yeah.
To your point, Chad, you said it's not for us. It's for the young kids. Especially in this era of NIL, right? And making money. How do you make that? You got to have eyeballs and visibility, right? So today, first day of Big Ten Media Days, and all these young kids turn on ESPN. What are they seeing? A duck, right? What'd they see during the Heisman race? A Bo Nix billboard was the talk of everything, good or bad, but it was the talk, so people saw it. So there's recruits out there going, you're talking about NIL. Look at this school. Everywhere they go, eyes are on them, no matter what. Like that's a big deal in the long run.
Yeah, and that's really what it's all about. It's the messaging, and you get hit with it, and then that image gets burned in your mind. You think Oregon, Oregon, Oregon. I understand what they're trying to do, and they understand what they're moving into, man. They're moving into a big-time conference with some big-time schools.
Yeah, and I always think a lot of that stuff is just to get people in the door. They need to get people on campus to see what that's like because – that's a pretty cushy situation down there if you're playing football at Oregon.
It is, and they've really done a heck of a job of making themselves known nationally. But Eugene, Oregon is still Eugene, Oregon. It's not the same as some of the bigger schools in the SEC. So when you're competing, because really what it comes down to, Godfather, Dan Lanning is competing against Alabama, Ohio State, and all these other big schools to get the big hog mollies that can come up and help you win a national championship. In order to do that, any edge that you can have to get someone's attention, to get them in. Because once you get them on the campus and they see the facilities and that Jedi temple of a football facility, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is a real deal.
The first time I took the tour of that operation, the operations building, when it first opened, they had a media thing, and I went through, and I thought what they did was make it so you really didn't have to leave that thing other than go to class. You didn't have to leave the campus at all. Yeah, it's Eugene, but you didn't have to worry about Eugene because everything you needed was, they had a barber shop in there. You could get food just about any time of the day or night. Everything was there for you. They had pool tables. They had ping pong tables. Study rooms. All that stuff was right there in that facility. It was incredible to me to see what they did. It's really smart. Just, like, where are our players? Well, a good portion of them are right here in this building.
It's true. That duck is so big, it almost looks fake. Like it's not even real.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. I keep looking at it like, whoa.
It's huge. It's bigger than that bridge almost. I hope it's not inflatable for the reason that somebody's going to go out there and puncture it or something, I would think.
Ohio State fans might shoot it down with a BB gun or
It's
something.
almost like taunting, isn't it? They're kind of taunting them a little.
That's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, we know that you're the old guard, but F you.
Yeah.
We're the Ducks.
Yeah.
Welcome to our world now.
Yeah. We got national championships. You got a cartoon duck, okay?
Oh, it's good. It's good. All right, we'll keep things rolling. Speaking of Ducks, we got a Bo Nix update coming up. I'm telling you, if he doesn't start when the season begins, I'm going to lose my mind.
I know.
I'm not
dreading
tuning in
it.
for Jared Stidham football. I don't need that in my life.
Will you just stop being a Bronco fan?
No.
I was waiting for
No, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Broncos country, let's ride.
That's not very nice. Yeah, I mean, some relationships, you just like,
Yeah.
I'm in it forever now.
It's an abusive relationship, but you just keep coming back for more.
I always told myself, if Elway just gets one, I'm happy forever. That was right. Once he got his first one, I was like, I'm good for life. They've added some more in, which is nice, little frosting on top, but I still can't believe Elway won that game against the Packers. That is an all-timer right there. The helicopter, the championship. The championships actually do matter, you know?
Yeah.
It's important for people to understand that a championship would transform all of us here.
Oh, Chad, it's just playing the games. The games are so fun. Doesn't matter whether you win or lose.
All right, Bo Nix update. Chris Burkhart's here. Dwight, James, Chad doing Rip City Drive. All right, Chris Burkhardt still jamming out in the control room. You going to get some evening golf in today, Godfather, or what?
Yeah,
What's up?
I haven't decided if I'm going to try and squeeze 9 in or just hit balls on the range. I probably should go to the range and try and reinforce the changes that I made over the weekend.
I teed off this morning at 6:20.
Yeah.
And the thought was the earlier we go, the less chance we'll have of getting stacked up behind some buffoons.
Sure.
That was wrong.
There were buffoons out that early?
Yeah, I couldn't believe it.
Huh.
And the problem is the group that was in front of us, they were pathetically slow. And it made for just agonizing golf the entire round because we had to wait on almost every shot. And they never had the wherewithal to be like, hey, you guys want to play through? And we never got quite close enough to be able to ask. But it got so bad on the 5th hole that I called the clubhouse. And I'm like,
turned him in.
yeah, I didn't want to create – I'm not looking for violence on the golf course. Because, if you ask someone to speed up, they're going to tell you to F off, more than likely. That's my experience. So I just called the clubhouse. I said, yeah, we're already over an hour in. We're on the 5th hole, and the group in front of us is already 2 holes behind. So about 10 minutes later, here comes the marshal. I'm like, yep, there we go. And he did get them to speed up, but they still were brutal. And you know what? I don't care if you suck at golf or not, but if you suck, don't get up on the green and study it like the Zapruder film, all right? I know you're looking for the gunman in the grassy knoll, but please just keep the game moving along.
Yeah. Don't try to read a putt when you don't know how to read a putt, right? I mean,
Dude.
what's the point?
What I learned from watching Bryson today, most people don't know how to read a putt the way he does. Just putt the ball. Just keep this thing going.
Yeah.
I don't care. There are bad golfers who play fast.
Yeah, there are. Uh-huh.
And what I love, what's funny too? Like the old guys, the old dudes, the ones who don't move very fast, they sure play fast golf.
Yeah.
They don't jack around. They get up, they hit the ball, they keep things rolling.
Uh-huh.
It's kind of nice.
Well, yeah. They don't want to spend all day on the golf course. They got other things to do,
Now, if people had those tricycles or those motorcycles, those golfing motorcycles they have out at Willamette Valley everywhere, everything would move a little more crisp. Those things are amazing.
Yeah.
Like a Segwick or whatever they call those things. What do they call those things?
Well, they have a Segway. That's a different thing. That's the one where
Segway.
you're standing up.
Yeah.
The other things are just like electric motorcycles, scooters.
Yeah.
With a place to put your bag and
you just cruise right along.
Yeah, and you can take those just about anywhere on the course. They're not restricted like carts are.
I'm surprised you haven't bought one of those yet.
No, I don't want that because I want cover if it's raining or drizzling, and I like the shade when it's sunny.
And you got the soft top, so you're enclosed in your ride, which is nice.
Yeah, it's a hard top, but the sides are soft.
The sides are soft. Yeah. It's pretty nice. It's kind of like a Jeep, sort of, I remember my dad had the hard top and the soft top.
Yeah. Does he still have a Jeep? He does.
He does, yeah.
I think I saw a picture. I think Isaac might have tweeted out a picture or put it on Facebook.
Yeah, he loves the Jeep.
Oh, yeah.
My dad would never be able to get rid of the Jeep because Isaac loves it so much.
Well, it's a cool Jeep.
Yeah. Yep. They like having the Jeep. They take it with them when they go back to Colorado because they like to go Jeeping, and go through the trails. And
so do they have do they tow it?
Mm-hmm.
Behind what?
They're
they have a RV?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep. They take the Jeep with them, and then they go Jeeping. We used to do a lot of that when we lived in Colorado. We'd get up in the mountains and stuff and go Jeeping. They got all these different mining towns. You can go to Silverton. You can go to Buena Vista. They got all these cool towns with these Jeep trails, and some of the Jeep trails are rugged. You got to have the 4-wheel drive in the Jeep to get up them because they're so brutal. But, again, the reason why you grind through some of those hills on the Jeep is because you get up into these lush areas that are secluded away from people and noise. And all you have is the sound of the running stream and the animals that are out there. It's unbelievable. But again, when I was younger, I didn't respect that the way that I do now looking back and how cool that kind of stuff was.
Well, of course, kids don't.
But I did love going through mines, checking out some of the old mines that were back there to see what was back there. It was kind of spooky and cool all at the same time. And we went up to the Alpine Tunnel one time, and, it collapsed, but there's an area where you can go down this little hole and then slide underneath, and you can get into the Alpine Tunnel, which is pretty neat.
Wow.
I thought that was a cool experience. But we had to use a Jeep to get up to that area, too. Anywho, speaking of Colorado, how about a time? I think it's time now for a Bo Nix update. Let's do it, Burkhardt. All right. According to, well, this is the story coming out of Broncos camp now that apparently there's going to be a 3-guy rotation in camp between Zach Wilson, Bo Nix, and Jared Stidham. And Sean Payton was asked about the quarterbacks. Let's take a listen.
Yeah, Coach, your quarterback rotation coming in. We know you started number one. All 3 had reps with the first team offense. How are you going to do it here in camp?
Yeah, we'll mix it up again. Obviously, it won't stay that way for the long term, but as we get started, we'll keep you posted, and eventually we'll settle into the routine we want.
Sean, following up on that, then does it just go from 3 to 2 to 1, or I guess how do you envision sort of the?
We'll keep you posted. I'm not going to sit here and lay out here's how it goes, because I think the mistake made is deciding how it goes. Organically, this my experience I think we'll see a rotation initially, and then we'll move on from there.
What do you think he's saying there? What does he mean by all that nonsense?
Well, I think he was trying really hard not to give anything away.
Yeah.
He was stumbling around a little bit for a guy like Sean Payton, who's usually pretty glib in what he says and knows how to say it, but he was stumbling a little bit. But I think, you're on the right track thinking it's going to be Bo. And I don't know. It's just like they seem to think, all coaches seem to think, you got to at least try to keep up the appearances that it's a competition, right?
Yeah,
you got to make these guys think that, even though Stidham might go out there and look better right now than Nix looks, sorry, guy, you're not going to be the guy.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because he's had more experience operating in the NFL. So he looked, of the quarterbacks, based on the guys I talked to who were at the practices during the OTAs, Stidham was, a step ahead. But most guys in that spot would be, because they've got experience in NFL games.
Yeah, they're supposed to be ahead.
Yeah. My guess would be, I don't understand why coaches believe that. Oh, we got to have competition. Why? If you know who you're going to start, why do you have to create some type of false competition?
Yeah, and in the world today, either, you don't have to be fair. We're not going to be fair. We drafted this guy in the first round for a reason. He's going to play until we find out he can't play.
Do you think he does that to keep the pressure on Nix, to make sure that
Maybe. That's a good idea, too. It's like compete. I want to see you compete for it. Not going to just hand it to you.
Yeah, if that's the purpose behind it, I'm cool with that. Like, hey, Bo, I know that we took you in the first round, but we're not just going to hand everything to you. You got to go out there and earn your spot on the team. And maybe that's the best way to do it for Nix, because you and I both know this. If he goes out on the field throughout camp and preseason and proves that he's the number one, his teammates don't need to be told that, because they see with the play who the best quarterback is.
Yeah.
If this is the one situation where Stidham could be your starter when the year begins, if, let's say, Bo Nix struggles through camp and doesn't play well in the preseason games, and it's clear to everyone's eye that Stidham is better, then you're probably better off putting Stidham out there, because, the guys who are working hard on the field with the quarterback, they want to win. Mm-hmm. And if you put a guy out there who's not ready because they've clearly showed it in practice and in camp, then you can lose some of your guys as coach. So it's probably best to put Nix in a position to where he can earn it so he gets the respect of his teammates. That's probably the best way to do it. Mm. But you can just cut Zach Wilson out right now and just say, we're going to go with the 2-man rotation. That's what I would do. I would just let Zach know, look, don't, whatever, man. Whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just hope Bo clearly shows, this is why they took me number one. This is why I'm a first-round draft pick. This is why I'm here, and it's to be the quarterback of the future.
I like how Peyton said, we'll keep you posted. Yeah, I'm sure that's a high priority. Oh, so-and-so looks a little bit better today. Let's make sure we tell the media that. No, you're not going to keep us posted until you know who the starter is going to be.
Sean Payton, no different than Belichick or a lot of the older school coaches like that. They deal with the media because they have to, not because they want to, and they only let out what they want you to know.
Yeah. And by and large, they don't respect the media because they know the media doesn't know as much about the game as they do.
Yeah, just like Jim Moore used to always say, you think you know, but you don't know, and you never will.
Yeah.
But Jeremy Fowler, the report that came out that you sent over to me, according to the people he spoke with, the Broncos are very pleased thus far with what they've seen from Bo Nix in terms of his quick release out of the pocket, his ability to deal with traffic in the pocket, accuracy, and then also the intangibles, the leadership and the maturity that he's shown that you would expect from a guy coming in who's got a load of college experience, 5 years, a little bit older, and not one of the 20 or 21-year-olds.
Yeah, they said basically we found out he is the guy we thought he was when we took him.
Yeah.
And that's all you really need to hear. They thought pretty highly of him or they wouldn't have taken him at that spot.
Yeah, no doubt. Let's see here. Oh, yeah, here it is. This is some really good stuff here.
You guys really don't know when it's good or bad when it comes right down to it.
Will you make a promise to us? Will you tell us when it's good?
And I'm promising you right now that you don't know when it's good or bad. You really don't know because you don't know what we're trying to do. You guys don't look at the films. You don't know what happened. You really don't know. You think you know, but you don't know, and you never will, okay? Just for your own information. Sometimes I can tell you it won't be good, and you'll see it won't be good. Sometimes you'll think it's good, and it isn't any good. Sometimes you'll think it's bad, and it was pretty darn good. Sometimes you'll think it's bad, and it was bad. But basically, you really don't know. The only people that really know are our coaches. And that goes with run blocking, pass defense, all those things. The media, public doesn't know. You guys don't know. Not really know.
There you go.
But, here's the deal on that. Of course we don't know because you don't tell us.
Exactly.
That's the big problem here. If you would tell us, we would know.
Yeah.
We're not paid to look at film. You are, okay? Look at the film, tell us. Otherwise, don't criticize us for not knowing. We're not in the film room with you.
Well, why is there such animosity towards the people that want to put your team on put the spotlight on your team? Why do coaches struggle with that so much?
Well, because they're the enemy. The media is the enemy.
Yeah.
Because if things don't go well, they're the ones that are calling for your job. And they know that, and they know there's an adversarial relationship there deep down, even among the homers who will jump on the bandwagon if enough people say you should get fired.
Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much like the Aaron Rodgers deals. So it's the media.
Right. So this is a media thing.
It's a media thing. When in doubt, blame the media, right, Godfather?
That's the way it works, yes.
Oh, boy. Jim Moore's got some of the all-time greatest rants of coaches.
Gosh. Yeah.
Most
He's
of
old
them
school.
are, old school. Most of them are not playable because he likes to use unfortunate swear terms.
Yeah, very unfortunate because we'd love to play him.
My favorite, though, is Mike Ditka's his meltdown. Mike Ditka's meltdown is one of my favorites. I mean, we need more old school coaches like this because, well, they were better. Some of the new guys, they don't say anything. They don't melt down. I need guys melting down.
What do you want to know? Come on. Or I'm going to go in now, so if you don't... What? Doesn't matter which one run. There'll be a quarterback that'll be named next week that'll be the starter. There's 3 quarterbacks on this football team. Whichever one starts. Whichever ones don't, will back him up. Period. Cut and dried. It's nobody's concern but ours. Nobody's. Next.
Injuries from the game?
Talk to the trainer. Next.
Mike, why are you in such a bad mood?
What do you care?
Right.
Okay. If you were 2-7, you'd be in a bad mood too. What next?
Mike, is this more like a training camp type practice as opposed to a regular season?
Yes. Next. Not very much fun, is it? No?
Not at all.
All right. I'll see you guys then.
There you go. Oh, God. It's one of the greatest responses ever. What do you care?
Yeah. Next.
Mike, why are you in such a bad mood? What do you care? It's such a great response to so many questions. Why are you eating that, Chad? What do you care? Seriously, what do you care? I'm going to do me, you do you.
I wish I'd have been there. I said, Mike, Don't you realize how deeply I care for you? I care about you, man. Don't hurt me like this.
I told you about that time that John Lund, our good buddy, and his talk show host in Salt Lake, they covered the Jazz, and they knew Jerry Sloan pretty well.
Yeah.
So one day they walked in on his birthday, and they handed him a bag, and Sloan goes, "What is this?" They go, "We got you a present." He opened up the bag, and it was a 6-pack, and they had a picture of Lund and his partner, and they put a frame in it. Sloan took the 6-pack, took the picture in the frame out, ripped the picture out, tore it up, took the frame in the 6-pack, and said thanks, and walked off. That's classic Sloan right there, man.
Yeah,
Love that.
He was a beauty.
I just think that's awesome to Jerry Sloan being the man that he is, that you give him a framed picture of yourselves. Happy birthday, Jerry.
Yeah. I called him once in the summer, and I said, I hope I'm not bothering you. He goes, bothered me? I'm sitting on top of my John Deere in the middle of a cornfield. Hell yeah, you're bothering me. What do you want? But he was laughing when he said it. It was funny.
And he wasn't lying. He was literally on top of his
John Deere.
John Deere.
On his John Deere. He always wore that John Deere cap, too. That's the one he wore all the time.
That was badass.
Yeah.
NBA coach rocking his John Deere
yeah,
cap.
He wasn't wearing no Utah Jazz cap. He was wearing John Deere.
Head coach that wore a John Deere cap, and Karl Malone was an African-American redneck who drove an 18-wheeler.
Yeah.
That is truly remarkable.
And wanted to be a cop. Yeah.
He did.
Yeah.
That'd be a scary cop. He was a big dude. And he thought golf courses were a waste of cuttings because he couldn't understand why he'd waste such good pasture land. Those are the days.
He had a point. It gets right down to it.
All right, we'll come back. And not LeBron, not Bronny. Is there somebody else that could be getting headlines, Godfather?
I think so, yeah.
It's never going to end.
No, this is the worst.
All right, Godfather, I'm going to hand out a high five to Bryson DeChambeau for continuing to crush it with his newfound social media prowess, his YouTube channel, and just the way he rolls, man. I can't believe it. I'm still stunned every time I see him communicate and watch his channel because I can't believe that I now am a full-on fan of Bryson DeChambeau.
Yeah. It's hard for me to believe you used to hate that guy.
Yeah, he was a clown, but now he's changed, and I acknowledge that, and now I'm totally down. And I want him to win every golf tournament. I just love it. But being able to see him do his craft and in his own way and communicate, I just think, man, social media is powerful. And if people use it the right way, you can open yourself up in ways you never dreamed possible, and people will connect to you. It's great because you can show a different side. You can be real. And he's out there on the golf course talking to different people, having a good time. I like it. But I love golf, so it's easy. It's an easy watch for me.
Well, what he's doing now is real good for golf. You know, I think it's opening the door to more people being exposed to the game.
And that's what it's all about, growing the game. And just, I mean, Tiger Woods, think about how many people picked up golf and started playing golf who had never dreamed of golf until they saw Tiger and like, I got to go try that.
Yeah. And it's funny, Tiger has still not been exactly outgoing or open to the fan. He's Tiger. He's somewhat aloof. He's not all over social media, that's for sure.
He's getting better. He's kind of loosening up a little bit. I thought his shot or the way he kind of poked it, Monty was pretty funny.
Mm-hmm.
When Monty came out with the comments. Yeah, he's learning to be a little bit funny. And Tiger's done some good social media stuff of late, too, where I mentioned the video with Fred Couples, but he did that stuff during the COVID time where people were hitting him up and sending him videos of swings and, hey, can you give me your feedback on this? And he would do that and stuff. Like, it's pretty cool to hear Tiger do that kind of stuff. You got any high fives you want to hand out?
Yeah, I'm going to give a high five to Kyle Tucker. He covers college basketball for The Athletic.
Yeah.
And he tweeted something out today that I rather enjoyed. There was a tweet floating around on X. It was a highlight of LeBron James' son, his young son, Bryce, who's playing in the Peach Jam, which is a big AAU summer tournament, very famous down in Atlanta. And the caption on this video said, Bryce James was going off at Peach Jam. LeBron's youngest son got in his bag. Then Kyle Tucker proceeded to tweet out, he averaged 5.6 points, 2.4 rebounds, 0.0 assists at Peach Jam, where he shot 31% from the field and 3 of 17 from three. There you go. It's like, can we not do this? Thank you, Kyle, for saying that. Can we please not do this? Let's not do this with the other son.
They're going to. When will Clutch take over and start the hype machine on Bryce?
I don't know. He is considered the better of the two, though. Always has been. He moves better. He's a little bigger. I think he's going to be the one that turns out the best. LeBron probably get that rule change, though, where you can go right from high school to the pros so he can actually play with both of them.
Well, that's what I want. I want the Lakers to draft Bryce in the second round, and then LeBron can play with both sons.
I don't even know. I don't think he's even a senior yet. Maybe he'll just get him reclassified as a senior so he can come out next year, maybe.
He might do it. Yeah, LeBron would orchestrate that.
Oh, he could if he wanted to. Yeah, he could get the league to change that up.
I mean, why should Bryce be left out and Bronny gets all the love?
Yeah.
That's not fair.
Yeah, then he could get the expansion team in Las Vegas and make a deal and get both the players on his team so he could kind of look out for them, make sure that they got playing time and everything.
All right. It's beautiful outside. It's getting a little chilly in here in the studio.
Oh, always, yeah. Yeah,
what's it like in the control room right now, Burkhart? Is it icy?
It's icy.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah, freezing balls in there. Shacker got you stuck in there Monday and Tuesday. He knew what he was doing. Shacker always bundled up in there. He was wearing a beanie cap the other day. It was like 95 degrees outside.
You feel kind of funny wearing the hoodie walking in the door when it's 80 degrees out, but you need it in here.
Are the Mariners going to lose again today? Probably.
Well, probably. I mean, yes. Why expect anything different? They're doing the same thing over and over. You expecting different results?
See, here's the great part about Service getting upset about the game last night. What if they come out and stink up the joint again tonight? How does he follow that up?
He probably follows it up by getting fired, maybe. That's their move that they probably would make, is just fire him instead of changing players.
All right, that's going to do it for us. Big thanks to Justin Myers for joining the show. Justin Myers will be on tomorrow morning, 6 to 9, Rip City Mornings, before he takes off for Indianapolis. Props to Chris Burkhart, our DJ, jamming out the tunes today. And Godfather, have a good night. Enjoy.
You too, Chad.
All right, we'll talk to you tomorrow, my friends. I love the game, and I hate the game. I love it, and I hate it. It's just going to drive me mad.